everybody. My name is Keely Spring. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. I also offer telehealth to those in Colorado. This is my podcast, Therapeutically Aligned, where I talk with fellow clinicians all around the country about the work they do and why they do it and how they do it to kind of help you as the audience learn more about therapy and help you kind of understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So, to that end, I have somebody actually I met on LinkedIn. So
Yes.
very excited to hear about Dominic and his work. He's on the other side of the country from me. So want to turn it over to you, Dominic, to introduce yourself and maybe just kind of the broad strokes of your practice. So, who you serve, where you're located, do you
Yes.
virtual, in person, kind of the general stuff.
Gotcha. So yes, I'm Dominick Campagna. Well, now it's Smith-Campagna. I just got married in October.
Congratulations.
Yes. So me and my husband hyphenated our names. So I am based out of New York. I am licensed in New York. I am a mental health counselor. I am in the process of getting my diagnostic privilege. We got to get that D, right? So that's like the
I've
ending
never
of it.
heard of this. We don't have this.
Yes.
So what is
Oh,
this?
they don't. Okay,
Um,
so the state now is starting to require some mental health providers for like diagnostic purposes for like insurance and codes and all that stuff. So now we go and like built in, they changed it, but like you have to do an additional 500 hours under a doctor in the mental health field,
uh-huh.
and you do supervision. I do it with my boss. Love her. She's my favorite, Dr. Romano. So yeah, so pretty much you'll be seeing now LMHC, and then it's a dash, and then there's a D. So
Interesting.
many people are, saying they got their D. So that, so if you ever see that,
Now I know.
diagnostic privilege.
That's awesome.
So yes, I am based out of New York. I am also a certified life coach as well. I am trained, not certified in EMDR therapy.
Uh-huh.
So, I do that as well. We started out as strictly a virtual practice, but my boss recently opened up a couple of locations in the city area. So now we're like a hybrid, but you still have a choice to be fully remote. So I have been fully remote for about 3 years now, and then I used to be a hybrid before that. So
Okay.
yeah, and the population, I used to work with kids when I was a guidance counselor. That was my first degree. I was a school counselor. And since making the switch to mental health, I now see 18 and older, because again, it's virtual, and I feel like it's a better system for people that can understand cognitively like what we're doing and not like twiddling their thumbs and turning the camera all over the place, and how kids could be. And I would say primarily the population I started really enjoying was the queer population. I'm a gay male, so gay men especially. Um, but I started to like branch out a little bit more and realize that I didn't want to like kind of put myself in a hole of a specific population. So I started seeing, heterosexual men, heterosexual women. I mean, who wouldn't want a gay therapist that understands both sides of the brain? So
True.
I feel, I kind of have my hands in all different pots.
Yeah.
My youngest client I work with is 20, and my oldest client I work with is 70. So I'm kind of all in the middle and that spectrum.
Love it.
So
Love it.
yeah.
Well, you kind of mentioned the guidance counselor, phase. Could you talk us through your journey to getting here? How did you decide to kind of pursue this, mental health clinician pursuit journey?
Yes. So growing up, right, I always wanted to be a school counselor. That was like my main passion, right? I loved my own guidance counselors that I had growing up. I was always like, this job seems like really cool. Like I want this job, right? So I went to get my undergraduate in psych. So I have a BS in psych, Then I went for my first master's in school counseling, and I was a working school counselor for about 5 years.
Mhm.
But in 2020, I resigned from my position as a guidance counselor in a school district that I loved very, very much, but it just was not a right fit for me. That decision wasn't made by me, that decision was made by other people, but I purposely feel now it it all makes sense. I'm a big believer in like someone's path and journey.
Mhm.
So during COVID, I worked in a COVID trailer because I was jobless. I, well, left the schools in June of 2020. So we were still in the height of COVID. Um, my self-esteem was extremely low at that time, and I just didn't want to go back to the schools. And I worked in a COVID trailer. And then I started to realize like, I'm like giving individual counseling now to people that are either having COVID, testing for COVID, family members. When the vaccine started rolling out, I was like, their like essentially counseling people, even though that was not my role at that hospital. It just started to feel like natural.
Yeah.
So I wind up going back and getting my second master's in 2020. I graduated in 2021
Okay.
because I only need like, I think it was 15 extra credits because the college I went to is a dual degree. I just
Oh,
did the
nice.
first part and then I went back for that second part, which is really like the hands-on clinical work and training. And I started to realize like, hey, I wanted to do counseling and I was so traumatized by the schools that I was like, where else can I do this? Like, I want to make my own schedule. I want to make an impact on people's lives. And then I was like, wait, I could go get my LMHC. So I did. And ever since then, it's been a beautiful journey. I like love doing what I'm doing. I've been successfully booked for 5 solid years. My clients, tend to stay if they do graduate on, meaning like they don't need me anymore. I'm very, very lucky to, have a wait list. I, never thought that my life could be as meaningful and fruitful as it is today. And again, the flexibility of like working from home, creating my own hours. But most importantly, our job, which is I love, we get the tea on everything. Like I know everything about our client, like my own clients. Like they tell me things and I'm like, oh, I'm like, that is like juicy, Like I love this. So that's kind of like my journey of how I'm here today. I'm now a supervisor for other clinicians that are in their limited permit. I'm a mentor in our practice as well. So I do additional mentoring for other clinicians that need additional support.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's my journey.
Love it. And so what is the name of the other practice currently, just so people can find you?
Next level mental health counseling.
Okay.
So like I said, we have one of the most diverse teams. We have, I want to say we're up to 50 plus clinicians at this
Wow.
time.
Wow.
Yeah. And starting with Dr. Romano, when she first started this practice, it was myself and four other LPs that she had. We used to call each other like the OGs because then the practice grew so big. And I'm sad to say that I am the only remaining OG that is left. But yeah, Dr. Romano, I just stayed with her. She's wonderful. Our practice is great. She's all about diversity. She's all about multicultural trainings. Something that is, I feel like something that is big in this field, but also lacking at the same time is like that whole cultural piece of like really understanding someone's origin of where they come from and understanding like my version growing up in a strict Italian household is totally different than maybe somebody of a Hispanic descent,
Sure.
right? My
Sure.
husband is half Puerto Rican, half Italian, so again his version of growing up much different. Right now, it's understanding like where that origin formed. It's huge. So
Okay, so let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. Could we talk about your favorite modalities? You mentioned EMDR. Is that one of your favorite
yes.
modalities? Are there others that you work with?
So EMDR is definitely a component I utilize, even if we're not doing full EMDR with clients, because there's like, listen, a past, present, future situation that could be, underlying or drawing a client to reacting or responding or having a somatic response. So the worksheets that we go through before actually doing processing, we go through like the negative cognition, right? Like I am worthless. I am a bad daughter, the positive cognition. I am strong. I am intelligent, whatever the memory may be. So sometimes I utilize those worksheets even with like my traditional CBT clients or DBT clients. I kind of like to go full spectrum of I feel like when you stop learning is when you stop growing. And even here, like as a clinician and having all the degrees that I do and my license, I still love to learn. I love to attend seminars. I love to, do my own research outside. But I would say EMDR is definitely one that I love to utilize. Cognitive behavioral therapy is another.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's our standard CBT.
I
I
think of
love
it as a
DBT.
backbone. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think it's important. The family structure, internal
Uh-huh.
family structure is how we grow and how we develop and maybe our personalities.
Mhm.
The birth cohort, I sometimes will love to ask a client, like, hey, by the way, I don't think I ever asked you. I know you mentioned you had siblings, but where do you fall in line? Oh, I'm like the middle child. I'm like, hmm, okay. I'm like, so have you ever heard about the birth cohort? So like psychoeducation, like I just feel like learning about each individual client allows me to tap into different modalities that maybe I don't get to tap into on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Like I don't really use like the IFS framework a lot, but some clients I do think it's super important. So like, I brushed up on my trainings. I brushed up on how I can better serve them in that way. So I would say a mix, but I'm really CBT, DBT, and EMDR for sure.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's a good combo. Those are all very complementary.
Yeah,
I also think, I've talked to the other clinicians about this, but um, I've been surprised at some of the interview or conferences I've gone to where, clinicians will say like, "Oh, you should only do solutions focus for every person. That's the only way. That's the only thing." And I think, what? But like, how
yeah,
does that fit every presentation that comes in, And it just to me, it just doesn't make sense to limit our own focus,
skills.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
to these little areas that it's like, well, maybe that works for somebody. Like you were saying, IFS, yeah, it works for some people, but it might not work for other people, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And also too, putting yourself, even going back to the one of the questions you had asked, like, hey, what population like do you serve? Like even just saying like, well, I do have like a specialty, right? Like I do enjoy working with the queer population. I could understand the oppressions that we face. I could understand certain triggering events, especially in a job, right? Because I
Sure.
had my own situation at a job before where yeah, that's to me is great. That's something that I have a strength in, but that's not the only thing, right? So it's like same thing with our modalities. It's like not everybody comes in for traditional, say trauma informed therapy. Guess what? That following week, something totally could change in their life that they're not going to be talking about their trauma right now. They're talking about the immediate band-aids that need to happen.
Yeah.
So I do think it's super important to always kind of like mix it up.
Yeah, I agree. I also think from a clinician standpoint, for me, it get boring to do the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Hmm.
It's
Definitely.
one of the things I like about the job is you never know what's coming in, you never know what you're going to see that day.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's so important too that you're even doing a podcast surrounding like what the clinicians feel and like what the therapists in this chair. A lot of my clients tell me all the time, you must have the perfect life. I'm like, I'm very humanistic. So I'm like straightforward with my
Yeah.
clients. I'm like, my life, you came in here telling me, oh, my life's a hot mess. Guess what? My life too is a hot mess at times. Like, okay,
Sure.
I might have grounding and coping skills and
Sure.
X, Y, and Z, but they think we have this like perfect life. Oh
Yeah.
my God, you must have the perfect marriage. I'm like, they should know I just had a fight with my husband, right before I joined in on this session. I'm like,
Sure.
no, I do, honesty hour with my couples. Always, I encourage honesty hour. I do honesty hour with my husband, even though he hates it at times. He's like, oh God, we have to talk about feelings. I'm like, yes, we do, you know?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point. I've seen this a lot on actually LinkedIn. People, clinicians talking about this pressure to feel perfect, that we're supposed to have
Yeah.
everything at all times just buttoned up, and we're human. We're part of the human
Yep.
experience. So there's gonna be
Yes.
times that are messy, and we have tools and we have coping strategies, and many of us, I'm sure yourself included, I have a lot of clinical friends, clinicians that I
Oh yeah.
talk to, or you know what I mean. I feel very grounded in this work, but yeah, I'm a human, so that's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what might a typical session look like? I'm guessing it's pretty organic and you kind of follow the clients where they lead, but
Yeah. So pretty much a typical session, my clients sign on. I greet them always with my smile and we check in. I find out how their, prior week went, their weekend from where we left off to now. Um, kind of also though at times will kind of create structure if I'm realizing that sometimes our anxious avoidant attachment style is happening where my client might think that they are throwing me for a loop by keeping this one circulating thing that's happening when we're starting to not focus on why they're originally there.
uh-huh.
But to be honest with you, like I said, I'm very humanistic, so I'm pretty laid back. This is dressed up for me. I dressed up for you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, normally I wear like t-shirt, I do have shorts on and flip-flops on underneath this desk because it is summer here in New York and I'm really
Hot there
embracing
right now.
the whole vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sessions typically go from, anywhere from like 45 minutes into the 55-minute mark. So yeah, and then we always wrap up, and every session I always say to my clients, I send you with all my love. That is just my style. It's pure. It's something that slipped out of my mouth. One of my first sessions I've ever done in person. I was like, enjoy your weekend. I send you with my love. And it just felt organic. And the client looked at me, and I'll never forget. Um, she had just lost her son due to brain cancer. My brother, who has not brain cancer, thank God, but has an inoperable brain tumor, um, was going through radiation. He had children. He has children. It really shook my family. But meeting this client just was such a weird coincidence. I don't know how it happened, but she looked at me and she literally started to cry. And it was almost like a movie. And I was like, oh my God, I just did something I shouldn't have done. What did I do? And she was like, you're the first person to tell me that you send me pretty much with your love. She was divorced. It was a slew of different things that have happened, but it was so pure and so organic. And ever since then, I close out my sessions with that. And
Oh.
now my clients actually beat me. And now they're like, I send you with my love. And I'm like, so, they're catching on.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's just like one of my things that I do, just a little cherry on top.
Love it. I love it. That's such a great line. Um, okay.
Yeah.
Are there things that still surprise you about therapy or the process or
I think, okay, that question is kind of maybe a little bit more specific. Do you mean what surprises me as the clinician watching it from a client, like maybe the progress of a client or just in general, like
It could
as a
be
whole?
any aspect. It's really like kind of anything that surprises you. It could be from your perspective, or quite honestly, my next question is going to be like around what do you hope people know or understand about therapy? And sometimes that can be something that surprises people. There's no right or wrong here. It's kind of like, is there anything about this clinical space that surprises you, whether it's your take on things or the client's take on therapy or the general public's.
I'm gonna say I think the one thing that still surprises me is how important the therapist role for the client really is just being that familiar face, whether it's once a week or bi-weekly, once a month check-in, sometimes twice a week if a client's in serious need or has a heightened emotional state. Um, I think that is the biggest thing that I would say still surprises me today is that like Dominick Smith-Campagna is someone's like face that they really feel comfort with.
Yeah.
And that's our own clinicians. We have imposter syndrome constantly. And when a client tells me, like, hey, last week you really, what we talked about really was super, super helpful, or that tool that you revisited with me really helped me stay grounded when I was on that family trip. And I want to say thank you. And I'm like, last week I left session and I'm like, did we do anything that week? Like, did we talk about anything? Because sometimes it becomes almost like so, you know, you almost lose focus of like that, even though you might not be doing like hard factual concrete tools every single week or giving them a piece of paper or sending them a follow-up email, they're still listening to you and they're really listening to understand. They're not just listening, they're listening to understand. And I think that is one of the biggest things that still surprises me today.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's what I would say.
I love that answer. Actually, one of my niches that I work with is imposter syndrome. And it always strikes me that, like, clinicians, because I work with it quite honestly, because I've experienced it.
Of course.
You know, most clinicians I know have experienced it in some way. And I love exactly what you're saying is like sometimes we get it's not very flashy, like our job. Like, I think about testimonials, or we don't have a whole bunch of people out there. It's part of the catalyst, quite honestly, for this
Oh
podcast.
yeah.
We are kind of the unsung people behind the scenes, rooting for people and cheering them on, but we're not the people that are sitting there being like, "Hi, I know what to do," and this like really
Exactly.
kind of flashy thing. But we do in these moments, like you were talking about, get this feedback that you're like, "Oh, like something I said actually made a difference," and it might have been I've been
Right.
doing that for like 5 sessions in a row, but something finally sunk in and they something clicked and there's an impact there. And that's such a beautiful piece.
Yeah. And the word I think I was looking for before is we become a little desensitized as individuals, even
Sure.
as the therapists, just like the clients.
Yeah.
We become a little desensitized from
Yeah.
being told constantly, no, you're worth it. You can get what you want.
Yeah. Sure.
You can, utilize your trauma not to keep holding you back, but actually spring you forward and actually use that as a stepping stone.
Right.
And you're right, we say it on a continuous basis, but when it does stick, it's almost like you're a little desensitized as the clinician, like, wait a second,
Yeah.
I did say that last week. I thought that was the one week I probably didn't say it. But hey, you know what? If it worked, yes, great. We love that.
For
It's
sure.
just still so surprising. I don't know why. And like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
then when you hear stories and I see my old students that I used to have and they're now becoming successful in college and they're still messaging me and I'm like, I made that much of an impact on somebody. Like, I have to pinch myself in moments and like I don't know, there's just something that still just sits very emotional for me in that way.
That
It's the
makes
only thing that could really get me to be like sometimes when I read these messages from my students or even clients or I'm just like, my heart, it's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful piece of the work that we do, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so So to the next question is is there something you wish people knew or understood about therapy that you feel like kind of gets misunderstood or not known?
So again, this I could go on and on about this, but I am going to keep it nice and precise. That I think the biggest misconception is therapy is meant to change the individual rather than their circumstances or their behaviors
Ah,
or and I always tell my clients, forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time can teach you. And that is a saying that I live by even in my day-to-day life, right? Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time can teach you. Time taught you what you needed to learn, and that's what brought you here. If I am 1% of that change in your life, I've done my job. I'm not here to fix you. You don't need fixing. You're not broke. You're not um, you know, damaged, all these words that they use for themselves. I'm here to make you your best version of yourself and maybe give you a different perspective. And the biggest misconception of therapy is the person seeking out therapy services because they think they need to be fixed themselves as an individual. And
yeah.
it's like, no, no, no. It's just you might have had a dealt of cards that were unfair. And those dealt of cards that we got that it's now right in front of you. Okay. We're going to start to remove the joker out of your pack. We're going to start to remove those, threes. We're going to start to remove, and we're going to keep whatever you may be, whatever you identify as king, queen, jack, ace, whatever's your favorite number on those cards, all the rest have words on it. And those words created a picture of your life, and that's okay. But you're not broke. We're not born broken. We're not born, you know, uh, tainted, damaged. The world does eventually taint us as individuals and people, right? But people don't need fixing. Their situations may need a different perspective, an understanding, but everybody is beautiful in their own way. And I always instill that in my clients. First session, normally, when they open up and they start going on and on, I always point out something for them that I'm noticing. And I'm like, I wouldn't say if I don't believe it, right? Because you would never know.
Yeah.
But do you realize that that presence and that light that you're even here right now? I feel inspired by you. I feel like I want to get up out of this chair and give you the biggest hug. And if I was in person, I probably would give you the biggest hug because sometimes that's what they need. They just need to be seen and reassured that I'm here. I'm going to get you to your best version of yourself, right? It's 1%. That's all I look for change. That's what I tell my clients when they start with me. If you leave here 1% with a different understanding, clarity, whatever it may be that they're seeking out, I did my job. But I can guarantee you, you will leave with more. But the work happens not just in the hour of the session, it happens outside. You have Dominick on your shoulder, and then you got that negative self-talk on the other one. And you got to constantly remember that what would Dominick say? My clients tell me. They say it to themselves like in a work meeting, like, what would Dominick tell me to do? What would Dominick sometimes when they tell me, you know what, I didn't even think I had my own instinct. I'm like, hello, that's the point of this is that I'm bringing awareness that you don't really need me, right? You want me right now because you want to engage, you want an understanding, clarity, but you have all those tools in your belt. It's
Yep.
just about sharpening them, fine tuning them, and re putting them on your belt that you're wearing to work every day, or as a mom, or a dad, or a partner, a child, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing answer. I love it. I feel
Yeah.
like that should be like a one of those like the more you know.
Yes. Right. Ah, you know?
Exactly. Love it. Okay, so the final piece in this clinical before we kind of get to know you on a more personal level, is there a tool that we could share with the audience that you like that, it could be anything. It could be a book, a podcast, a breathing exercise, a thought exercise. Really anything is fair game.
Okay. So the ACE technique, do you know the ACE technique?
No, please share.
Okay. Acknowledge is A, come back
Okay.
into the body is the C part, and then E is engage. Okay. So I always tell clients, imagine you are on a boat. Dom, I get seasick. I don't go on boats. I had a client actually tell me that. I'm like, okay, go along with it, please, for a sec. Give me, you're on a boat, and all of a sudden you are in calm waters.
Mhm.
A huge storm comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And now you have one or two choices. You can let the boat rock and you could get tussled around, cuts, bruises, more anxiety, more fear-based, more feeling like I'm suffocating. Or you could drop your anchor, right, down to the ground and let the boat stay somewhat more sturdy than having no anchor.
Mhm.
So that's the ACE technique. So we're acknowledging what's happening in the moment. Okay, I'm being triggered. Something is happening. I'm having a somatic response. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge what is happening. Okay, Dom and I talk about this all the time. I'm having anxiety right now. This is a very specified anxiety. It's surrounding, say, my work, and I'm feeling it really in my chest. I feel it's tight. Okay. So acknowledge it. Let the feeling in. I always tell clients we don't want to push feelings out. People don't want to feel. I love that saying. I don't want to feel sad. I
Yeah.
don't want to feel anxiety. I'm like, that's never going to happen.
Too bad.
So let's accept it in. Okay.
Yep.
Acknowledge. C is come back into your body.
Yep.
Now you're on that boat, and now the storm is here, and you officially dropped your anchor. You're now in the present time. You're touching, your senses are there. Your feet are on the ground. Your hands are on top of the desk. You're smelling your own perfume or your cologne. You're looking at your surroundings. You're coming back into the here and now, right? We're not disassociating. We're not going to, our safe place. We're going to bring it to reality, right? We're here. You're now dealt with the situation. You're at work. Your boss is coming at you, and you now want to respond the way you normally do, which is crying and running away. You're going to come back into your body, and then you're going to engage, which is the E part,
Uh-huh.
in what is the long term goal. Why are you even dropping that anchor? You're dropping that anchor for a specific reason. The goal is to lessen your cuts and bruises, to lessen the rocking and the motion to get sick.
Mhm.
Same thing with the E that you're doing currently. You're now engaging and saying, what am I going to do to push forward this? I'm going to listen to understand where my boss is coming from. I'm going to take it as constructive criticism, right? Not criticism, constructive. That's my boss. That's their job. Okay. But at the end of the day, tell my clients that boss goes home. They have a family. They shower. They have morning breath. They are no better than you or me. So it's part of like a mindfulness exercise of bringing your awareness to the here and now. But at the end of the day, the storm will go away, the sun will come back out, and now you're lifting up your anchor. And are you lifting it up again with less cuts, less bruises, letting it affect you, taking it personally? Or are you going to lift it up and say to yourself, I did something different this time and I'm okay with that. And it actually worked. And again, just for time purposes, I wish we had a specific client that like was here in front of me because showing it is totally different. But if you look up the ACE technique, it's part of DBT. It's part of bringing the whole emotional awareness to our bodies, our somatic responses. When I fight with my husband opposed to fighting with a friend, I feel it in my body totally different. I
Sure.
feel it in my feet totally different. I feel different because it's different. It's different levels of meters of importance.
Yeah.
And it's again almost like putting it on like a hierarchy, right? Like, okay, work is there,
Yeah.
but that's not the real true high importance right now of what you're trying to achieve. So let's engage in what you are, and that's becoming the best version of yourself. You're going to respond differently to that boss because now you're here, you're grounded, you're
Yeah.
seeing, you're smelling. It's real, it's in front of you,
Yeah.
period.
I love it. I love it, Dominic. It's a great, I've heard of it, but I like the way that you're, you know, explaining it. I think it's very visual. And the other thing I
Yes.
will say about like, the overarching message before we kind of pivot here is it feels like, you're really great at helping people understand that like things are going to happen. It's not so much about the thing that's happening, it's about how we respond to it. And we've got choices in how we respond to it. And I think that that's like the brilliant part of therapy in general. But I think the way that you're kind of sharing how you practice really kind of blends that in a very beautiful way of like, you can't get rid of anxiety. There's going to be things that produce anxiety or a somatic
Always.
response in your body. It's just about how do I have the tools to then respond to it in a way that is helpful to me instead of harmful or getting in my way.
Also, to externalizing it and looking at it and putting an ugly name to it and an ugly color and being like, okay, you're back. Great. I'm going to conquer you. I got you. Your anxiety is not rational. It's not. Fear is.
Yeah.
So bringing the awareness to fear versus anxiety, right? It's all about how the client and the person and the therapist and anybody in life realizes that you got to forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time can teach you. And I tell people that I live by that. That is such a simple saying, but it's such a saying that when you realize that you are not the reason that these triggering events happen to you, you you at that time needed it to happen to get to the point here. Now what do? We got a couple of chapters left. Those chapters are written. Are we going to continue to let this book go on and have you be the person that's in distress, the person that is limiting themselves, the person that doesn't see their capability, doesn't understand their own power? Or are we're gonna push through. We're gonna rewrite those chapters that are ahead. So big believer.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, so Dominic, are you ready to pivot a little bit here and be seen on a personal level, a little bit high level?
Yes.
Okay. So first question is, what is something that's making you happy these days?
Ooh, something that makes me happy these days. Okay. I'm gonna say my husband, number one. Um, Number two, my beautiful, I have a huge family, and so does my husband, Wayne. We have 18 beautiful nieces and nephews
Oh my
between
goodness.
us. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. So, uh, being with them really has instilled a whole new happiness for me. I'm one of four boys. My mom had four sons, and all my brothers had boys. So I have seven nephews from my side. So I've never had a niece.
Oh wow.
So marrying into Wayne's family, I finally got nieces. So now I get to buy like the dresses and I get to like, spoil them in any way that they want on like the girly side of things. Uncle Dom, can I paint your nails? I'm like, sure. I'm like, cool, let's do it. It's different than like my nephews are always like, do you want to wrestle? I'm like, not really. You're, 6'2". I'm and 210 pounds, and I'm all of 5'8" and 132 pounds. I think you could break me, but sure. I mean, yeah, let's get thrown around by my 15-year-old nephew. Just what I love to do.
It is very different energies for sure.
Oh yeah. And my dog, obviously, little Wally. He was the best addition for us in February. And my friends too. To be honest with you, my outside my social life, people are like, "Do you get tired from working remote?" And I'm like, "No, because I'm so social that like you need to be social if you're in a fully remote type of position because I don't crave that that type of like physical frontal attention because I get it externally by friends, family, and but that's my answer is happiness stems from my family and my friends and my beautiful dog and my cats. Well, Wayne's cats. He came with them, but now they're mine too.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, what about favorite app? Do you have a favorite app?
Ooh. Can I say TikTok?
You can say whatever you'd like.
To be honest with you, TikTok has been really there's a lot of junk on TikTok. Yes, I get it, but it's also very informative. They are a lot of therapists that are now on TikTok that are talking about like uh different tools and techniques that they use, maybe a story that they are sharing with obviously confidentiality, with no clients' names, no whatever, but like situations that they've been in to normalize for other fellow clinicians, talking about pay, which is never really discussed in this field, right? Because it's like taboo.
Yeah.
things like that. But I love TikTok, and I should probably say something a little educational,
Oh,
but
it's
I'm
fine.
not. My next favorite app that I love is Instagram.
Ah, okay. Love
Yeah.
it.
I'm all about doom scrolling in a very healthy, cathartic way, right? At the end of my day, when I just saw 12 back-to-back people Monday and Tuesday, I'm like, that's my biggest days, right? Because I'd rather than my week be less. Uh those nights when I shut down, it feels good to brain rot in bed for about 20 minutes. I allow myself that time.
Sure. Understandable.
Yeah.
All right, beach or mountains?
Beach. All day. Beach all day. Is that even serious?
Yeah,
I
some
live
people pick
point
mountains.
No, I live point 0.7 miles from the beach, okay? And I grew up like beach. My dad, mom, brothers, they all called me Scuba Steve because I was always swimming and I'm always in the water. But there's something about the beach. I love it. Love it.
That's a good Adam Sandler reference. Scuba Steve.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, all right, what is one thing that movies never get right?
Reality. So I could watch uh voicemails, that new one that's out on Netflix,
Oh,
voicemails from Isabella.
Isabel.
Yeah, voicemails from Isabella, whatever it is. Beautiful message, wonderful. But I think that dance and everything I loved at the end, and it was so great that they put her sister who passed in the background and danced. Sorry if there's spoiler alert, but it was so great. But reality is like I wish they would have shown more of like the emotional and mental toll that it really does take on with families. Like her mom and dad showed up randomly at her door, years later to celebrate um Isabella's no, what's the sister's, whatever the alive sister's name is. She had the parents come and they're sitting around, they're talking about the sister, but it's like reality is that for some people their parents like lose a child, they're not functioning. Like it's one of the hardest things I think in this world is to lose a child, especially to an illness. But, I think that's the one thing I wish movies would capture a little bit more on is the reality of what it is. And I also hate sometimes how they paint out what therapy looks like in movies. Sorry, but like the couch and the person laying down and they're like, oh my God, I just had therapy, but like, my therapist just nodded and was like taking notes. Like, no, hello, we don't do that. We don't just nod and take notes, okay? We're putting our hard work in.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I agree with you on those points for sure. Okay, what's the best way to relax for you? How do you like to relax?
So, the best way for me to relax is hanging out with my mom and going shopping.
Nice.
Me and my mom live 19 minutes away from each other. She's been my best friend from day one, my biggest cheerleader. Uh, and whenever I'm having a bad day or I just need to relax, normally Fridays, I'm with my mom. We're out shopping. I don't work Fridays,
Uh-huh.
but this Friday I get to be with you, so I'm lucky. But I'm normally with my mom, and her and I are normally getting into some sort of trouble on the outside, whether it's running through the mall, going for massages, sitting down at a coffee shop and just hanging and being with each other. And another one is reality housewives TV at night. Love the housewives. I love it, love it, love it. So again, throwing myself in bed at the end of a day, putting on the housewives and just like watching what that show brings. And then sometimes it puts it into perspective of me. I'm like, these people are fighting over they didn't get the Mercedes they wanted. I'm like, I wish I had those problems.
Okay, what advice would you give your younger self?
Forgive myself for not knowing earlier what only time can teach me. My
Oh,
motto.
Love it.
There's been a lot that I've encountered as a child coming out. I came out later in life. I just wish that I had, I wish I had that advice when I was younger, to be honest with you, to keep forgiving myself and realizing that, like, I'm good as I am. I am a very caring and loving individual, and I was not made wrong. I was not defective. I am who I am, and I'm very, very lucky that I have such a supportive circle around me. But that would be what I would tell my younger self.
Love it. That's beautiful.
And sunblock.
Yeah.
Wear
There's always
sunblock.
kind of luck in
You
life.
know, 'cause, listen, 30, I'm going to be 37. I've been doing my laser masks. I'm rolling on creams, eye creams. I'm like, shoot, couldn't have somebody told me, like, Dom, start using under eye cream. Look, look at the genetics that you got going on. And I'm like, oh, God.
I get it. Okay, let's see. What's about a dream trip location? Anywhere you want to go?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay. Any island in particular or just any of them?
No, just Hawaii in general. I always said when I retire, I want to live in Hawaii and open up a little beach shack called Dami Shakes and become a bartender and live in the sun and live in the water and sleep in a hammock.
Love it.
The
Love
best.
it. Okay, out of the four seasons, which is the best?
Summer.
Summer.
I love summer. I thrive in summer. As one of the housewives say, I can't say the word on here. Every bee loves a good summer. That's my girl Alicia. Love her, and she is not wrong. We love a good summer. Okay, summer actually, summer. Yeah.
East Coast. Okay, three last questions here. So the first one being, what would be the worst superhero power to have?
Oh wow. Wow. Worst superpower to have. That's a good one. I'm gonna say stopping time.
Oh, that'd be the worst one?
Yeah, to be honest with you, people would probably pick that as their best one, but if I stopped time when I would wanted to have stopped time, I would have never met my husband. I don't think I would have been where I am today. Uh, I do believe that time is definitely getting faster as I get older. And I used to hear my mom say it, my grandmother say it, my grandpa, like, and now I'm living it, but I wouldn't stop time. I would let it continue because there's a lot of amazing things that happen that I don't think would if we were capable of freezing time or stopping it for uh, uh, quite a bit of time because the inevitable will happen. And that's the same thing, Ken, that we can't stop what's going to happen, right? But all we can do is maybe gather some skills. And I think, um, yeah, it would be that
Okay, is there an animal that resonates for you?
golden retriever.
Nice.
That's what everyone calls me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, you would be such a golden retriever if you were a dog. Like, I am energetic. I am like, uh, I really do feel bad sometimes for my husband. You ever see something about Mary,
Yes.
the movie?
Yeah.
You know, when the grandmother on accidentally took that pill and then she's lifting up vacuuming, and I don't take the pill, but I lift up the couches and I vacuum at all odd hours of the night, and I am doing laundry at 2 o'clock in the morning, and so yeah, I am like a golden retriever, and then I just love laying down and being pet like a golden retriever as well. So
Full circle, all of
full
it.
circle, full circle. And I love to, occasionally nap in the sun on grass.
Fair, fair enough. By a beach.
Yeah, by beach, obviously.
Okay, so final question. When you look back at your life, what do you hope you'll be able to say about it?
If I look back at my life, what would I be able to say about it?
Mhm. What do you hope?
I would hope that I would be able to say I learned what I needed to learn in the lifetime that I was given. And I hope that my presence leaves a mark on the people that are still living, that are not um, in the boat that I would be in eventually whenever my time is up. Like my nephews say, or my nieces saying, like, wow, Uncle Dom, he was like cool. Okay. Like I tell them all the time, like, I'm cool. You could Apple request me, like Apple Pay request me. I shouldn't have done that because like now, I have my 15-year-old nephew who's out with his friends and is like, hey, Uncle Tom, Dad only gave me X amount of money for Chili's. Can you send me something? I'm like, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. But, I feel like looking back on it, I would hope to say that like, wow, I lived the way I wanted to live and I have no regrets. And I hope the people that are still around realize how much I loved them and cared about them, clients included.
Love it.
Clients included. I say it all the time. I'm like, you guys leave just as much of a mark on me as I leave on you. And I learn so much from you guys as you learn from me. And again, I think that is a big, big takeaway.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you, Dominic. You are officially seen.
Yes, thank
I
you.
will I will share all your information with the audience. Before we, end here. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure people know or are aware of? We talked about a bunch of stuff, so probably not, but
I was about to say, we really, I mean, we talked it out, but I want to say the one thing I hope people realize from hearing this is you're not going to therapy to change who you are as an individual. You are perfect the way that you are. I know it sounds cheesy. I know it sounds corny. You are who you are, right? If anything, you want to maybe become the best version of yourself in this period of time. And that's what your therapist is in the corner to do. We got your back, we got you, but changing you as a person, mm-mm, you're perfect.
great message. Great message. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Dominic, I guess we will leave you with love.
Yes. Oh my God, you beat me. I was gonna do it. I was gonna say I send you with all my love. It was so nice to meet you, and thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks again, Dom.
Yes, we'll be in touch.
All right.